All right, looking at the week 8 overview, there's really two things you're going to be working on here. First is final project work. This is something I told you about last week. This is a Google Doc. It's actually right here where I want you to share. Really the most important thing here is your research questions. That is the specific questions you're going to be using to guide your work. I gave an example of mine. Some of you have started this, but not everyone, of course. And then as we've done before, I will be giving you comments here, and those comments will help you guide your research questions. In addition to that, I have a video for you to watch about interviewing, some tips that you can read for interviewing, and then before class next week, and this is important too, before you do your interview, I would like to see your phase 2 plan, your interview plan. I know you did some sort of interaction in EAP 100 that very well could have involved an interview. I hope the materials that I have here kind of give you some of what I want to do as part of this academic interview, but just some basic information so you can see how I see this project. First of all, there are three different types of interviews. There's a structured interview. A structured interview is where you just have a list of questions, and for every interview, you just ask the questions, get the answers. But it's all structured. These are the questions that I want answered. You give them and you wait for the response from your interviewee. That's one type. On the other side, you have a completely unstructured interview. And there you would just go into the interview without really preparing anything, and you would just start talking, and you would see where the interview went. As you can guess, I don't want you doing either type of these for this. What I want is the third type, which is right in the middle of those two. And it's called a semi-structured interview. And in a semi-structured interview, you do plan some of the structure. How I phrase this is I want you to at least know different topics that you would like to talk about, and you'll probably want to plan some questions within each of those topics. But probably the most important skill you have as an interviewer, and you will see this both in the tips and the video that I gave you, is your ability to listen to what the interviewee says and then ask questions about that, right? Questions that go deeper, questions that look for more understanding, probing questions we call this, but these are questions that come from what you hear the interviewee say. Being ready to ask additional questions based off what the interviewee has said. The other thing that you need to keep in mind as you prepare for your interview is that you are going to be taking things that the interviewee says to put into your final project video, which means that you really want nice blocks of text that either exemplify something or answer questions or give expertise to what it is that you're speaking about. So you need to design your questions in an open way to get the person really talking. That way you can get those blocks of answers that you can use in your final project. And you do this by writing open-ended questions. Questions like, tell me about this, or what are your thoughts about something? Give me an overview of what has been your experience with. Questions that are designed to get the person talking. And once they're talking, hopefully they will be able to form good responses that you can use in your final project video to answer your research question and also provide you with things that you can follow up on. So again, semi-structured, that is, you plan somewhat what you're going to be talking about and asking, but also open enough that you can ask additional questions once the interview has started. And of course, using language that gets your interviewee to give you nice big blocks of text are important in this interview process. I have a template that you can see right here. This is what I would like you to use to fill out your interview plan, but I want you to put the language and the ideas that you're looking for in your interview, and then I want to give you feedback on that before you go ahead and do your interview. So before next week, but also before the interview that you're going to do, and I want to see that interview plan. So these first tasks are related to getting ready for your interview for your final project. And then also, this is another thing, this is optional, I'm not going to require you to do this, but if you would like, you can practice an interview. You can take another classmate, a friend, anyone that you want, and record yourself interviewing them for no more than 10 minutes. And if you send me a copy, I will give you feedback on the interview skills that I see in order for you to do the best job you can on that interview. The other part of week 8 is going back to aesthetics that we talked about. Quick interlude. I did talk about aesthetics in this video. Make sure you watch that before going on to the other
So I've been
things.
going through your Flipgrid responses for week
6. As you know, sometimes I'm just not sure if people are watching the videos based off the view counts. Anyways, back to what I was saying about week 8. And I have these two websites here. Both of these websites are kind of weird. They show you YouTube videos with very few views. You can click on these, watch some of these. As you do this, I would like you to take some notes. And what I want you to focus on in your notes there is on one side, I want you to note what you see. This is the content of the video. And then on the other side, and this is the more important part, I would like you to know the how it looks, right? So not what it's showing, but what are the aesthetic properties of it? What about the camera? What about movement, color, editing, lighting, music, sound? Focus on the aesthetic choices, and choices is kind of used in quotes because sometimes these aren't 100% deliberate, but what are the choices that determine what this video is like? And again, you'll use these notes in your discussion later in the week. The point is to warm you up to thinking about the aesthetics of all online video. Then I have something for you to read. This is an academic article from the journal Film Criticism, and it's about the aesthetics of online video. Again, as you listen to this, you can listen to me reading it. It's kind of challenging. There's a lot of concepts that even I am not very familiar with. But I would like you to read this, again, as background information for understanding the aesthetics of YouTube. After you have read that and are listening to me, these are some other articles in that very same issue that talk about some of the things we saw before. ASMR videos, fashion tips for women in hijabs, the Lego movies, the Blackness on World Star Hip Hop, that compilation of videos. Cat videos we didn't talk about, but we did talk about this. This was that dog running in there. So you can read some of these to get further information if you're especially interested in some of these subgenres of the YouTube videos that we're talking. And you're going to use this article that you read, along with these videos that you've seen here and the notes that you take, and you're going to take all that, and before next week, you're going to have a discussion with your learning team where you talk about the aesthetics of online video. Again, I would like everyone to start by sharing something. You're going to choose one video that is related to your final project. Another special note, before you have the discussion, take the video that you've chosen from some online platform that you're going to talk about in the discussion, and make sure everyone gets a chance to watch that before you have your discussion. From WeChat, email, however you want, share the videos that you're going to be talking about in your sharing part with people so that they'll have watched them before you have your discussion. It mentions that in the notes, but I wanted to point that out to make sure everyone's on the same page. Hopefully that video notebook that you started at the beginning of the semester will be useful again here. When you take that video and talk about the aesthetic choices that you notice in that video, and then some analysis, and this is introductory, this is some basic stuff, but some of the why of what that. So you see these aesthetic things in the video. Why is that there? What does that mean? What is directing what you see and feel and hear and experience during this? And what does that mean to you? That is, how do these aesthetic choices give voice to the video that you're using? And then as a group, you'll talk about this kind of all together. And again, save any questions that you have. It's a good thing to bring it up in the discussion. And then we'll be talking about this in a whole class discussion in week 9. So you want some way to kind of record what you did in the video. That could be a Google Doc, that could be your own notes, that could be something that you talk about at the end of the discussion. But I'll be calling on students and hearing or wanting to hear what you got from your discussion to bring all together for the whole class. Again, that's what I have for you in week 8. I'm going to be preparing for your interview and submitting a plan that I can look at and give you feedback before you do your interview for your final project. And also going back to the aesthetics of online video. In the meantime, I of course will be looking at your midterm seminar events. I'm really looking forward to seeing the discussions you had, and you will get feedback on those by the end of the week. And you'll be busy, I'm sure, in the meantime, preparing for your final project and going back to aesthetics. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Sign up for office hours if you'd like to talk more, either this week or next. And have a good week 8. Thanks. Bye-bye.